Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Shannon Reads 1099 Instructions. The part of the 1099 instructions we're covering today are the exceptions. So I am going to start sharing my screen and we'll talk about the exceptions. Some payments do not have to be reported on Form 1099 miscellaneous, although they may be taxable to the recipient. Payments for which a Form 1099 miscellaneous is not required include all of the following. Generally, payments to a corporation, including a limited liability company that is treated as a C or S corporation. However, see reportable payments to corporations earlier. Payments for merchandise, telegrams, telephone, freight storage, and similar items. Payments of rent to real estate agents or property managers. However, the real estate agent or property manager must use Form 1099 miscellaneous to report the rent paid over to the property owner. See regulation sections. There's a couple different ones there to take a look at. So the exceptions here are if you are paying rent to a property management company, you do not need to send a 1099 to the property management company. However, the property management company needs to send a 1099 to the property owner. Wages paid to employees get reported on a Form W-2 wage and tax statement. I can't even tell you how many times every year, every week, especially right now, people asking, some wages didn't get reported on the W-2. Should I just send a 1099 for those? The answer is no. Fix your mistake and do it the right way, which is figuring out what payments didn't get paid, didn't get reported on payroll. Gross those up or do whatever steps you have to do. Make sure you do it right. The employee needs to get a W-2. You cannot send the same employee a W-2 and a 1099 for the same wages. There are a few exceptions to that rule. Like say you have an employee and they also do social media marketing as a business on the side. You can pay the employee a W-2 and send their business a 1099 because they are not for the same type of work. We can do a whole video on that later. Military differential wage payments must be made to employees while they're on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces or other uniformed services, and they are reportable on Form W-2. Business travel allowances paid to employees may be reportable on a W-2. If the employee turned in an accountable plan or an expense reimbursement for their business travel allowance, that would be not reportable. That we can do a whole other conversation on also. Cost of current life insurance protection, report on Form W-2 or 1099-R distributions from pensions, annuity, retirement, or profit sharing plans, IRA, insurance contracts, etc. Life insurance is special. If the company is paying for life insurance in excess of $50,000, it is reportable as taxable wages to the employee at there's a formula that you use, and that is a whole other conversation that we can talk about later also. Payments to a tax-exempt organization, including tax-exempt trusts, IRAs, HSAs, Archer MSAs, Cloverdale ESAs, and Able 529A accounts, the United States, a state, the District of Columbia, a U.S. possession or territory, or a foreign government. So payments that are made to tax-exempt trusts or most government agencies government agencies as a general rule do not need to get a 1099. Payments made to or for homeowners from the HFA Hardest Hit Fund or similar state program, those get reported on a Form 1098-MA. Compensation for injuries or sickness by the Department of Justice as a public safety officer disability or survivor's benefit, or under a state program that provides benefits for surviving dependents of a public safety officer who has died as a direct and proximate result of a personal injury sustained in the line of duty. Compensation for wrongful incarceration for any criminal offense for which there was a conviction under federal or state law, see section 139F, certain amounts received by wrongfully incarcerated individuals. Here is the big controversy, and we will talk a lot more about a Form 1099-K as soon as I get done with the rest of the boxes on the 1099 miscellaneous. But payments that are made with a credit card or payment card and certain other types of payments, including third-party network transactions, must be reported on a 1099-K by the payment settlement entity under section 6050W and are not subject to being reported on a Form 1099 miscellaneous or a 1099 NEC. See the separate instructions for a Form 1099-K. Just really quickly, when it says payments made with a card or payment card or certain other types of payments, including third-party network transactions, anything that runs through a merchant service processor generally gets charged a fee by the recipient and are thus not reportable on a 1099 miscellaneous or NEC. They get reported on a 1099-K. But there are a few things where you really don't know. And so a little bit more investigation has to be done. Questions need to be asked. If I pay somebody and I use PayPal, are they using the PayPal for business or are they using a PayPal friends and family? If they're using Zelle, that's only personal. If they're using Venmo, Venmo now has a business account. So that would not, the Venmo for business would not get a 1099 miscellaneous because Venmo would be sending out a 1099-K. But Venmo personal does not run through a merchant account because nobody pays a fee. Or I've never used Venmo. But the Venmo for personal is not a business account. So no 1099-K or miscellaneous or no 1099-K is going to be issued by Venmo. So a 1099 miscellaneous or 1099 NEC would need to be issued. We'll pick up the rest of that conversation in the very specific instructions for the 1099-K. There's a whole section of the 1099-K that specifically talks about payment methods. Fees paid to informers. A payment to an informer as an award fee or reward for information about criminal activity does not have to be reported if the payment is made by a federal, state, or local government agency or by a nonprofit organization exempt from tax under 501c3 that makes the payment to further the charitable purpose of lessening the burdens of government. So if a government agency makes a payment to an informer, there is no 1099 NEC or miscellaneous that would need to be issued. There are exceptions, like if say if my business made a payment to an informer and it exceeded $600, then I would need to send that informer a 1099 miscellaneous for other income, because I am not a government agency or a 501c3 making that payment to lessen the burden of the government. Scholarships. Do not use Form 1099 miscellaneous to report scholarships or fellowship grants. Scholarships or fellowship grants that are taxable to the recipient because they are made for teaching, research, or other services as a condition for receiving the grant are considered wages and must be reported on a Form W-2. Other taxable scholarships or fellowship payments to a degree or non-degree candidate do not have to be reported to the IRS on any form unless Section 6050S requires reporting of such amounts by an educational institution or on Form 1098T tuition statement. See Section 117B through D and Regulation Section 1.6041-3N for more information. Canceled debt. Canceled debt is not reportable on Form 1099 miscellaneous. Canceled debts are reportable under Section 6050P, must be reported on Form 1099C. See instructions for Forms 1099A and 1099C. Employee business reimbursements. We covered this a little bit earlier, but we'll finish covering it now. Do not use Form 1099 miscellaneous to report employee business expense reimbursements. Report payments made to employees under non-accountable plans as wages on Form W-2. Generally, payments made to employees under an accountable plan are not reportable on a Form W-2, except in certain cases when you pay a per diem or mileage allowance, because there is no actual receipt being reimbursed. So per diem and mileage allowance are reportable as wages. For more information, see instructions for Forms W-2 and W-3 in Publication 463. For information on reporting employee moving expense reimbursements on Form W-2, see the instructions for Form W-2 and W-3. Widely held fixed investment trust. Trustees and middlemen of WHFITs must report items of gross income attributable to a trust income holder on the appropriate Form 1099. A tax information statement that includes the information provided to the IRS on Form 1099, as well as additional information identified in Regulation Section 1.671-5E must be furnished to TIHs. For details, see the 2021 General Instructions for certain information returns. All right, so those are the exceptions to what we need to file a 1099 miscellaneous for. Please feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe this video if you find any value in it, and we will see you on the next episode.